President Biden is pleading for Congress to act on gun control amid a string of mass shootings across the country. However, lawmakers are clashing over this divisive issue. Our chief White House correspondent, Nancy Cordes, is here to discuss. Nancy, good morning.
Good morning, Anne Maria. This may have been the most emphatic speech we've heard from this president when it comes to gun control. Up until now, frankly, he's been reluctant to dwell on the issue too much because the reality is that it's just so difficult to get anything passed on Capitol Hill. But that was before 19 third and fourth graders were gunned down with a weapon, the kind of weapon that used to be banned.
Let us finally do something.
After a month of mass shootings in Uvalde, Buffalo, Tulsa, and more, President Biden pleaded with Republicans to support new gun control laws.
Too many other everyday places that have become killing fields, battlefields here in America.
His ambitious wish list includes a ban on high-capacity magazines, universal background checks, new safe storage laws and red flag laws, and a return to the assault weapons ban that he helped to pass in 1994.
And if we can't ban assault weapons, then we should raise the age to purchase them from 18 to 21.
He pointed to studies that show mass shooting deaths tripled after Congress let the assault weapons ban lapse in 2004.
The Second Amendment, like all other rights, is not absolute. This isn't about taking away anyone's rights. It's about protecting children.
But in the House, the battle lines haven't changed.
This is on our watch. Where is the outrage?
How dare you? You think we don't have hearts?
House Democrats and Republicans debated a major package of gun laws Thursday for nearly 10 hours.
We are paying for this deadly culture with the lives of the American people.
This bill would not stop the terrible events, it wouldn't harden schools, but it will sure take away the rights of the American people who follow the law.
In the Senate, a bipartisan group says it's making progress on measures to address red flag laws, school safety, and mental illness.
Every day that goes by, we get closer to an agreement, not further away.
But that agreement, if it succeeds, will not include some of the major gun safety measures that the president laid out last night, like raising the purchasing age for assault weapons from 18 to 21. Some states, however, are taking action on their own. Just yesterday, New York State's legislature passed a bill that would do just that, raise the purchasing age, and it now heads to the governor's desk for her signature. Anne Marie.
All right, Nancy. So I just want people to sort of understand there are a lot of different conversations going on in Washington, D.C. So let's talk about the House Judiciary Committee. Advanced a package of bills called the Protecting Our Kids Act that would harden U.S. gun laws. Where does that measure stand?
So that measure passed in the House Judiciary Committee last night. It was a party line vote. It came after 10 hours of debate. Democrats, of course, are for it. Republicans were against it. Basically, that package pulled together a number of different gun bills sort of under one big umbrella. So it would raise the purchasing age. It would ban large capacity magazines. It would create a gun buyback program. It would ban bump stocks and ghost guns. Basically, almost everything on the Democratic wish list when it comes to gun safety. Now that it is passed in the House Judiciary Committee, it goes to the full House of Representatives as soon as next week. There's a chance it will pass if it gets enough Democratic support. It's unlikely to get much or any Republican support. But the problem is when you get to the Senate, because as we've discussed so many times, you need 60 votes in the Senate in order to even bring legislation up for a debate. And, it's likely to get universal opposition from Republicans. So like so much Democratic legislation that we see coming out of the House, it's likely to stall in the Senate.
So we will move on to what some senators are doing. But one more question for the House. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi said that the chamber will be holding a hearing on an assault weapons ban. So what about that? When is that scheduled, or when is she saying that that's likely to happen?
Yes, she's saying she's going to bring that up next week. And that's really interesting because when you look at the history of the assault weapons ban, for years, on Capitol Hill over the last decade and a half, Democrats said very little, frankly, about returning to an assault weapons ban or even holding a vote about it for the simple reason that they knew it couldn't pass. And so why subject Democrats in swing states to a vote that they knew would create some opposition among Republican voters? So really, the talk of an assault weapons ban kind of died down, but now it has been resurrected, partly because of this incredible spate of shootings that we've witnessed, 20 mass shootings over the past week alone since the Uvalde massacre, and because Democrats are looking at the polling and they've seen a shift and they say, look, even if we can't pass this, it's still worth holding a vote on it, highlighting the fact that Republicans oppose it because they believe that that the public is not universally on their side, but that a majority of members of the public are on their side. And so House Speaker Nancy Pelosi is planning to highlight this, bring it up again next week. Once again, that's a tougher vote for some of her members, some of her Democratic members who come from swing districts and swing states. But we'll see, whether she now has the votes to pass something like that, at least in the House.
And then really quickly, we have a bipartisan group of senators who are working. You mentioned that in your package. Yes. They're looking, among other things, to maybe push forward enhanced red flag laws. Where do things stand? Yep. And even if they hammer out, even if they can come to an agreement, what's the likelihood of getting support beyond their small group?
Well, that is, still an open question. The Republican in that group, the lead Republican, Senator John Cornyn, has said, look, it would be pretty embarrassing if even after the Uvalde shooting, which took place in his home state of Texas, if they couldn't get an agreement on even some basic safety measures, not necessarily new gun restrictions. He's made it clear that he opposes that, but on measures like enhancing school safety or safe storage laws, red flag laws, things like that make it easier to take guns away from people who have shown that they're a risk to themselves or to others. So those conversations are moving along, and everyone who's a part of them seems pretty hopeful that they will be able to reach some kind of an agreement soon.
All right, Nancy, thank you very much. We're all hopeful that they will. Thank you.
You're welcome.